Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 10 to 1 with Holly Tuppen. Holly is a freelance travel writer and she writes for the Telegraph, The Guardian, Condé Nast Traveller, and she's also written for lots of other wonderful publications as well. Holly, it's great to have you here today. How are you doing?
Thank you, Olivia. I'm good, thank you. I'm just in the kind of homeschooling, building project, chaos, and I think lots of people are in chaos, but it's all good.
Yeah, well, you're keeping very busy, and I think anyone that manages homeschooling and working combined should get a medal. So well done, and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to talk to me.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Holly, are we just able to start by letting the PRs watching know what you specialise in, what you love to write about, and a little bit more about your travel writing role?
Yeah, sure. So I've been kind of writing about sustainability for quite a while. I did a big trip going around the world without flying, and when I got back, I started working for various responsible travel companies. So big advocate of slow travel. And then, yeah, since then, I've just worked for my work at the moment is kind of split between the freelance writing work. And as you said, like doing more and more at the moment, just because everyone's talking about sustainability and conservation, which is great. And I also do kind of copyright, like most other journalists. I also do copywriting and consultancy. I've been doing quite a lot of work on carbon measurement at the moment.
Wow, that's so interesting.
It's been really interesting. And I also do work for an organization called The Long Run, who are a kind of membership organization of conservation-led lodges. So I started off by just doing writing for them, but I'm now kind of gradually done more and more. So I'm doing most of their marketing stuff at the moment.
Brilliant. So a super busy role. And I must ask you, do you think coronavirus is going to change the way we travel sustainably?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's we've had kind of there's been so much talk. I think the industry has been on pause, and so it's there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of really inspiring and exciting messages about building back better and everything. I think the reality is it's always much easier to talk about that, especially when nobody's trying to sell anything. I think sadly the moment we can start to sell stuff, then maybe some people will drop their enthusiasm for that messaging, but I really think we are going to see a step change as well. I think kind of consumers are on board, and the more we're all talking about it, even if some of it isn't necessarily that sincere, then it does just lift the whole industry's game up. I think it's kind of like in our consciousness.
Brilliant, thank you. How are your weeks playing out at the moment? Do you have any weekly deadlines or deadlines you work towards? And is there a best time or day for PRs to get in touch with you, or is every week so different?
No, I think every week's pretty different. There's definitely not a time or a kind of day or a time. Really, it's more, I wouldn't say I don't read like every single kind of PR roundup that I get, but I do read most kind of very targeted pitches. And I've never, because I kind of do the freelance work alongside other work, I kind of really prioritize what I would pitch to editors. So really it would only be something that is has a very strong conservation and sustainability hook. So really it's got to be something kind of brand new, and it's got to kind of really have a lot of integrity through it. I wouldn't kind of pitch articles just about a hotel doing, I don't know, starting to offset its carbon, for example. But if a hotel had kind of totally revolutionized how they were measuring it, I might be interested in that.
Yeah, so super targeted pitching works best for you. Obviously what you write about is niche isn't the right word, but there's still only a small pool of writers that are writing about it, which is good for you. And what should be included in a pitch? Like, what's your ideal pitch? Do you like your press release attached? Do you like a really strong subject line and everything in the body of the email? How do we grab your attention in your inbox?
Yeah, so definitely in the body of the email. Don't often, well, I'll only open an attachment if I feel like it's kind of really relevant. And yeah, I think so. I'm trying to work out. So I think either, the type of, there's so much sustainability now out there that just kind of the word sustainability doesn't really mean much anymore. So I think what grabs me is stories where someone has really thought through how they might be kind of totally revolutionizing how we do travel, how we sell travel. So anything that involves like shaking up supply chains, kind of when we're talking about community outreach or kind of using local goods, I think those buzzwords alone don't really mean anything. But if it's, if there are some percentages in there, so for example, this lodge has committed to kind of, over 80% of its produce coming from the local area, and it's empowered local people by building it a farm, and now the local people are actually running that farm, and over time they're going to gradually own the land. That's the kind of like stuff that I'm really drawn to. I think if it's just a list of kind of generic sustainability initiatives, I think we're a little bit beyond that now. That's because everyone's doing that. And then in terms of how email should be written, I think leading with kind of people. So any environmental or conservation initiatives has to have a strong people hook as well. How is that affecting local communities? How is it educating people about how we need to change land use? Who are the people who are leading it? What's their kind of mission and all that kind of stuff. So,
do you like interviewing those people that are kind of the pioneers and leading?
Yeah, so I do actually more, well, obviously, like during the pandemic, a lot of work has been interviewing from afar, but I do. And because I've always been quite limited in how much I want to travel due to kind of carbon emissions and stuff, and also just like having kids and not traveling as much as a lot of travel journalists. I do love I love doing those interviews. That's usually kind of a starting point for a lot of my pieces, is to have a quick interview with someone.
Brilliant. And are images important in pitches, or do you just like a Dropbox link that you're able to look at?
Yeah, maybe ish, but only to kind of get a sense of
not fundamental.
Yeah, it's not fundamental. More to get a sense of kind of what the brand is like.
Cool.
What kind of vibe they're putting across.
Yeah, definitely. And with press trips, which will resume one day, I hope they resume one day for all of the travel writers, all of the travel PRs who are having an absolute shocker. Press trips. I presume you go on them, but they must be quite a lot has to go into thinking about where to send you, because obviously you do take into account carbon emissions. Do you fly, or do you prefer alternative ways to get somewhere?
Yeah, so I do fly, but try and reduce it as much as possible. So actually in 2020 I was going to just take one flight in that whole year anyway, but I didn't take any.
Quite a good year to do it.
It was a good year to commit to that. Hopefully 2021 it will be more challenging to do that. So no, I will fly, but I guess it would have to be there's have to be a really compelling reason why I should be the one to go there, and why maybe someone locally wouldn't be better to tell that story. I'm really interested in maybe doing some stuff like working with a local journalist or photographer in a destination. So if they do the trip and therefore it reduces the carbon emissions, I can do some interviewing of them and help to write it from the perspective of here. And so any press trips where somebody's happy to organize overland travel, I'm like instantly respond like, okay, I'm interested.
Brilliant. Thank you, that's great. What is your biggest bugbear?
I think probably just repetitive generic sustainability stuff. So I'm probably a bit cynical.
Like we banned straws in our restaurant. Like,
I just
5 years too late.
Yeah, exactly. So I think anything so I think anything that's just like generic, so somebody hasn't read it and thought through actually does it really mean anything. How is this really groundbreaking, and is this really making a difference to the environment of people's lives, or is it just we're kind of churning out something because we feel like we should?
Definitely. And just to finish up on, what are 3 things a PR should know about you? These can be anything.
What are 3 things? Okay, so I'm like always desperate for like adventure, like the kind of adventure where you kind of really feel alive and you like push yourself. I think as a kind of working mum, you get slightly like channeled into a bit of a, oh, I can't do that because it's too like, so anyway, so I love to be kind of challenged physically on trips.
You're a bit of an adrenaline junkie, do you say?
Well, well, not. I don't know if it's adrenaline. It's just like being pushed out your comfort zone.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're all kind of desperate for that at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah. Every day is so monotonous.
Yeah, I don't think I'm alone in that. What else? Oh, it's a really tricky conversation. Oh, well, a bit of a boring one, but I guess I'm writing a new book about.
Amazing. That's not boring at all. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's all going to be about the UK, so like slow adventures in the UK, and I'm co-writing it with Jane Anderson.
Cool.
Travel editor of Family Traveller.
Yeah.
So we now our time to travel around the UK is getting kind of shorter and shorter now that this pandemic is continuing. So we're going to be doing a lot of hot footing it around the UK. Cool. So that's my main kind of challenge for 2021.
Brilliant. When will your book be out?
I think probably not till 2022.
Cool. Okay.
I will be finishing it this year. And what else do you need to know?
Well, you don't live in London, so perhaps
you
live in Brighton, which is super cool, but perhaps that's useful for a PR because if they want to meet you for a coffee, they should take that into consideration. Like, you can't just get on the tube quickly.
Yeah, sure. Although I'm going to be desperate to get to London.
They should email you for meeting up.
But if they do live in Brighton or Sussex, I am desperate for new friends. So that might be.
Holly wants friends, so please email her. And that is a good way to finish because all of Holly's details are up to date on the Rocks Hill website. So please get in touch with your pictures, your friend requests and information for her new book. Holly, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for your time and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Pleasure. Thanks so much, Olivia.
Pleasure.